Hello, everyone, and welcome to Enduring Long COVID. My name is Sherry, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're living with long COVID, ME/CFS, dysautonomia, another chronic illness, or you're listening because someone you love is sick, I want to thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me today. This is the very first episode of the Enduring Long COVID podcast, and I thought there was no better place to start than by answering a simple question. Why did I create this space? Before I tell you that story, let me introduce myself. I'm a registered nurse. I spent close to 30 years caring for patients. For much of my career, I was the one sitting on the healthcare side of the bed. I understood illness. I understood symptoms. I understood medical records and diagnoses, or at least I thought I did. Then in 2020, COVID changed everything. Like many people, I expected to recover. I thought I would get sick, get better, and move on with my life. Instead, recovery never really came. Months passed, then years, and I found myself living with symptoms that didn't make any sense. Shortness of breath, fatigue that wasn't normal, chest pain, brain fog, dizziness, heart rate issues, post-exertional malaise, and dozens of other symptoms that seemed to come and go without warning. My body no longer followed the rules I had known my entire life. Simple tasks suddenly required planning. Every activity came with a cost. And perhaps the hardest part was that many people couldn't see what was happening. From the outside, I often looked fine. But inside, I was fighting battles that most people couldn't imagine. One of the things that surprised me the most was how different it felt to be a patient than it was to be a nurse. As healthcare providers, we often see people during moments in time. We see the appointment, the hospital stay, the test result, the treatment plan, but what we don't always see is what happens in between. We don't see the hours someone spends trying to decide whether they have enough energy to take a shower. We don't see them sitting in the parking lot trying to gather enough strength to walk into the store. We don't see the recovery days after an event that looked effortless to everyone else. Living with chronic illness taught me that there is an entire world of suffering that often remains invisible. And sometimes that suffering isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's financial, it's social, it's spiritual. It's grieving a life that you thought you were going to have. One of the hardest parts of this journey has been the isolation. Many people living with long COVID and ME/CFS know exactly what I'm talking about. You begin to feel like you're living in a different reality than everyone around you. The world keeps moving. People go to work. They travel. They celebrate milestones. They make plans. And meanwhile, you're trying to figure out how to make it through the day. Sometimes you're trying to explain symptoms that don't have easy explanations. Sometimes you're trying to convince people that you're really sick. Sometimes you're trying to convince yourself that you're not losing your mind. And that's where this space began. I created Enduring Long COVID because I needed connection. I needed to find people who understood what this experience felt like. I needed to know that I wasn't alone. And the more I started sharing my story, the more people started sharing theirs. I discovered that there were thousands of people carrying similar burdens. People who had lost careers, people who had lost friendships and relationships, people who had lost independence, people who had lost years of their lives, and yet they were still fighting, still hoping, still showing up every day and doing what they could. Their stories matter. Your stories matter. That's why I created Enduring Long COVID. Not because I have all the answers. I don't. Not because I've figured this illness out. I haven't. And certainly not because my journey is harder than anyone else's. It's not. I created this space because people living with this condition deserve to be seen. They deserve to be heard. They deserve compassion. They deserve dignity. And they deserve hope. I also created this space because I believe education matters. There are still so many misunderstandings about long COVID and related illnesses. Many people don't understand post-exertional malaise. Many people don't understand the grief that comes with chronic illness. Many people don't understand that someone can look healthy while being profoundly sick. The more we share our stories, the more opportunities we create for understanding. And understanding can lead to better care, better research, better support, and hopefully better treatments. As this podcast grows, we'll talk about many things. We'll talk about long COVID, ME/CFS, dysautonomia, healthcare experiences, the emotional side of chronic illness, the victories, the setbacks, the hope, the heartbreak, and everything in between. Some episodes may be educational, some may be personal, some may simply be conversations that remind you that you're not alone. Because if there is one thing I want people to take away from this podcast, it's this: what you're experiencing is real. Your suffering is real. Your grief is real. And your life still matters. Even when the world doesn't fully understand. Even when progress feels slow. Even when you're exhausted. Your story matters. Thank you for joining me for this very first episode of Enduring Long COVID. I hope this podcast becomes a place where people feel seen, heard, understood, and encouraged. Until next time, take care of yourself. Rest when you need to. Give yourself grace. And remember that you are not alone. Thank you for listening to Enduring Long COVID.